Hello, it's Pastor Jeff. I want to thank you for tuning in with us this week. As you can see, we're kind of coming to you from a outside location, not in our normal studio broadcast, but I wanted to kind of come to you today from this area because you can see kind of in the background behind me a big fishing boat. And these kind of boats go out every day along our coast and bring in all kind of fresh fish and shrimp and those things we love to eat from the sea, and it's just a blessing for us to be able to enjoy those kind of things. But when I see these, it makes me think about the Word of God. You know, Jesus was really involved with fishermen in his day, and matter of fact, his first disciples he called into service going to them at their fishing boat. The Bible tells us in Luke chapter 5 that Jesus was teaching a multitude one day, and they were along the lake of Gennesaret, and they got down next to the water, and there's such a crowd that he really didn't have room to move hardly, and he looked over to the side and he saw some fishermen there. They'd come in from an all-night fishing trip, and they're washing out their nets, and he goes down and he asked one of them, Peter is who it was actually, if he could use his boat to preach from or teach from for a little while. So he gets in the boat and pushes out a little ways. He begins to teach the multitude. And Peter's sitting there with him. He had never met this man before, but he was being hospitable to him and allowing him to use his boat. And when they got done, Jesus just wanted to bless him in a way that's unique to him. And he told him, said, push on out to the deep, let down your nets again, and bring in a big catch. Well, Peter kind of hesitated, as most of us would, because he hadn't caught anything all night, and they were tired, ready to go to the house. But he said to Jesus, he said, well, at your word, I'll do this. Now, it didn't make sense for Peter to say that because he didn't know Jesus. He didn't know him from anybody. But he did this because he'd been sitting to listening to him teach for such a while that he had developed some faith. And so his faith in what Jesus had been teaching to the multitude inspired him to go ahead and act on this request. And when he did, of course, they caught a big catch of fish, and it was just an awesome day for them. From that day on, Peter and his comrades began to follow Jesus, began to be his first followers, his first disciples. And time again, Jesus used that same fishing boat to teach them even more lessons about walking in faith. I think about another time when they got into the boat, and Jesus said, let's go to the other side, guys, other side of the lake. And while they were rowing to the other side, Jesus just laid down and took him a nap. He was wore out. They'd been traveling for a while, and he was just exhausted. Well, while they're in the middle of this time trying to go to the other side, a big storm come up, and it was, some pretty rough waves, and all these fishermen thought that they weren't going to make it. They thought that they were going to die right there. And so they woke him up and said, look, don't you care that we're about to die? You need to do something to help us. Jesus looked at him and says, guys, where's your faith? You've been hanging out with me. You've been walking with me. You've been hearing me teach. Where is your faith? Then he stood up and he spoke to the wind and the waves, and everything went calm. And these guys were just flabbergasted because, here it is. They're in the presence of the Son of God. And even though they've been following him, they've been walking with him, listening to him teach, they didn't really realize to what degree that their faith could be in acting there. And he looked at them, he said, all you had to do was use your faith. I think about another time. Jesus told the guy, said, y'all go ahead across the lake and I'll join you later. He went up on the mountain to pray. It says during the nighttime, their guys were trying to get across, and the wind was against them. It was kind of a rough road trying to get across the other side because they didn't have a motorboat or anything like that like we do today. But Jesus came walking on the water to them. They saw him. They thought, man, this is a ghost. And they cried out for fear. But here we go, Peter again. He was the one that, first met him. He got the big catch. And then, he's the one that wakes him up, when they're about to drown, they think. But now he sees him out there and he says, Lord, is that you? And Jesus said, oh yeah. He He says, well, if you'll tell me to come to you, I will. Well, Jesus just said, come on. He got out of the boat, and Peter now, begins to walk on the water too. Now, you know, Peter had been all his life fishing, said, there's no way I can do this. No way that water's going to hold me up. But his faith had grown to the degree that at the word of God, see, the very first time he acted on Jesus' word, caught that big catch of fish. Now he's acting on the word of God again, and now he's walking on the water. However, in the middle of walking on the water again, he goes back to his old human ways, because he looks around and looks at the wind and waves, and he thinks, oh, I'm about to drown. He starts to sink. But presence of mind had him calling out to God again. Jesus, I need some help here. Took him by the hand, said, come on up. He said, why did you doubt? Why did you doubt? The thing that strikes me so much about these three accounts, all of it happened in their everyday life surroundings. On the boat, on the water, things they were comfortable with, things that they were familiar with. But he's trying to teach them how to walk by faith. That's the way he does with us too. He comes to us, he wants to come to us in an everyday relationship to help us to learn how to walk by faith, to trust him at his word, that if his word says it, then it's so. And if we'll begin to believe that, we'll begin to have a sensitivity to his leading of his spirit and how he shows us in the word how we are to live and to walk, it will begin to help us as well to be victorious, to have the blessings of life that come with a big catch, to overcome those storms of life, and to literally begin to walk on top of the troubled waters that come into our life. The Word of God's awesome. Begin to look at it, begin to read it, and see those accounts and how it really played out. It can help us to begin to walk just like those first disciples did. I hope this helps you today. I hope this is an encouragement for you. Thank you again for tuning in with us. We just pray God bless you, and hope to see you next time.